I was muted this whole time. God.
To the tourist.
Stop. Okay, I don't think it's too loud. Okay, so yeah, The Tourist 2010 explained by Nitty. If it is, my bad, I'll fix the next video. I know I said I was gonna like watch all his videos. He has got a bunch that I do want to watch. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm gonna hold off on that. I know. But this is new. He just uploaded this. I figured that's fine. I figured that's a pass. Look, if y'all don't want to watch it, man, y'all get off. And then y'all can watch this another time. But, yeah.
That starts out in the smelliest
That's
city
why
in
we're
the
here.
world with some government spying on Angelina Jolie, following her around real close to the extent that they don't care if she notices, which I thought was kind of stupid, but actually kind of makes sense because she was, or kind of still is, a spy like them. Matter of fact, let me explain a bunch of other shit that's going to move a lot of the suspense and surprise element from this movie, but I don't really care. And let's be honest, you clicked on this video, if you expected to keep those elements in there, you're kind of fucking retarded. Here are some of the important characters. First, we got this dude Shaw, who's growing another creature on his face. He's fat, he's rich, he's a criminal, and he employs Russians, although he's British. And he had this banker dude called Alexander Pierce working for him, who somehow stole 2.3 billion from
Where's
him.
his
I don't know how
picture?
he was
Oh,
able to
that's
steal that.
why.
I don't know how Shaw was able to make more than that, but whatever. Alexander had face-changing plastic surgery so he could evade him and also the authorities who are on his ass for not paying 700 million in taxes. So Scotland Yard tasked secret agent Angelina Jolie to spy on him, but she ended up falling in love with him and telling her agency to eat a bag of dicks, so she gets temporarily suspended. But then Alexander Pierce disappears, but he still loves her, so he's still trying to contact her and stuff like that. And last but not least, Jarvis. Yes, I know he's also Vision, but he was Jarvis first, so I'm sticking with that. He also has a different name in this movie, but I don't really care about it. He's the agent in charge. He's also Vision, but he was Jarvis first, so I'm sticking with that. He also has a different name in this movie, but I don't really care about it. He's the agent in charge of the Alexander Pierce case at Scotland Yard, and he's also Angelina Jolie's boss. Now back to the movie. She goes to her usual coffee spot and gets a message from a bike courier. Watching her think okay, I won't. That is Alexander Pierce. They arrest him, but it turns out not to be Alexander Pierce. The letter she received is from him, and it reads something like this: I know the cops are watching you, so get on the 822 train at the Gare de Lyon to Venice. Pick someone my height and build and make them believe it's me. She then burns the letter, gets up and leaves to go to the subway. The agents go in to save the letter, but it's too late. It's burnt, so they just take the ashes and follow her. But she keeps taking routes that cars can follow her in. Eventually, they do follow her to the entrance of the subway. They get out of the car and start running after her. But pause. She looks at them. They look at her. Then she starts moving again. They start moving and to run after her, and she disappears in the crowd that are coming out of the subway. Why the fuck did you stop? It's not like she doesn't know that you're following her. I know you want to be at a safe distance enough for her to like talk to Pierce or for Pierce to approach her and not be spooked by you, but the jig is well and truly up at this point. You fucking mongoloids, just keep running after her. Whatever. She gets on the subway and escapes. We see Jarvis's boss tell him to stop the Alexander Pierce operation because it's costing them too much money, but he continues it anyway behind his back. Has this expert come in and salvage whatever is left of that letter, and not only is there enough pieces left for them to find readable shit on it, but Jarvis is also apparently the 2008 puzzle world champion or some shit because he's assembling that shit back together on the double. But whatever, it's plausible. Maybe he is a world champion of puzzles. I don't know.
Nah, that's crazy.
He finds out the most important information is that she is getting on an 822 train at the Gare de Lyon station. Meanwhile, Ho is already there. She gets on the train to Venice and begins shopping.
Is that even real? Can that even happen? Is that machine real? That's my question. No, it's not, right? Is it?
And build as Alexander.
That'd be crazy.
Johnny Depp, who was sitting down. How can you gauge someone's height if they're sitting down? I mean, I'm sure you can look at their legs and torso and sort of assemble in your mind what he would look like if he was standing up. But
keep it going.
Hard,
Stop.
Whatever.
Go.
She sits down
Yeah.
in front of him, and dude is gobsmacked, stops smoking his e-cigarettes, which somehow it was way less gay than the vapes of nowadays, but still pretty gay according to her. She's like, I'm Elise. I'm Frank. That's a shit name, Frank. And you're clearly a mean bitch, but I'm gonna ignore that because you are hot. She flirts with him and basically asks him to have dinner with her. They do that. She finds out he's a regular schmegular math teacher. They get to know each other a little bit more, I guess. And while doing that, some agents on the train take a picture of Frank and send it to Jargon, who does a worldwide search on him. Turns out it's not Alexander Pierce, because if it was, it wouldn't have returned a match. And that is further confirmed when he pieces together more of that letter. Then he reads the part where Pierce tells her to find a dude that is his height and build and make them think it's him. So he calls off his dogs, aka Italian Interpol, who are waiting to arrest Frank as soon as he gets off the train. Frank finishes eating with Elise. They both part ways and get off the train. And we cut back to Scotland Yard, and we see a low-ranking nerd see Frank's photo and Pierce. And this nerd turns out to be
Wait, hold on. Because the ad.
See a low-ranking nerd see Frank's photo and assume that it's Alexander Pierce. And this nerd turns out to be an inside man for Shaw, who's on his PJ right now, getting news from said nerd that Frank is Alexander Pierce and he's in Venice with Elise. So they change course to go over there. While back at Venice, Frank is being a normal tourist, but then Elise comes over with a boat and tells him to get on. And of course, as soon as he saw her, his brain took a backseat and his dick took full control, and he was like, sure, I'm coming. They both go over to a bougie-ass hotel where there's a room booked for her and her husband. He hears that and he's like, what? But his penis and curiosity are still in control, so he keeps going along with it. They go up to a special room where people stayed in. Famous people such as Honor de Balzac. No, I'm not making that name up.
I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Johnny. Like, I just... Like, it's his fault, but like,
Ho is left many expensive gifts by Pierce. They both get dressed to go out and have some more dinner, and he's like, "So who is he?" And she starts singing this motherfucker's praises and proverbially, I can't speak, bro. Proverbially sucking this guy's dick just a little. By the way, why does she think that Frank is still hanging around? I mean, I know why he's still hanging around, but she doesn't. She thinks that he thinks
No.
that her husband has a cuck fetish and he's about to rail this bitch while he watches. It happens more often than you think, alright? It's a very real possibility. Anyway, she keeps telling about Pierce, how she hopes she'll meet him, she misses him, but she doesn't like being summoned like this, and then shows him her special little medallion that her mom gave her. It is of a two-faced Greek god that's supposed to teach her a deep and meaningful lesson or some shit, but who cares? They go back to their hotel room where Pierce has left her a bunch of flowers and an invitation to a ball 2 nights from now, so she goes out to the balcony to ponder about life or whatever, and sees a agent spying on her, so she kisses Frank to hopefully continue trying to convince them that he is Pierce. The agent takes some pictures, but also a couple of Shaw's Russian goons who are also spying on her saw this. After that, she tells Frank to go sleep on the couch while she walks into her room and closes the door behind her and begins to undress in front of an open window. At least close it, you stupid bitch. Not for privacy or whatever, you're a hoe, who cares? But if I was someone spying on you trying to figure out whether that dude is Alexander Pierce or not, and you kiss him, then you go into your room, close the door, and don't let him in with you, I would kind of question whether that dude really is him or not. Just saying. Anyway, Frank goes to sleep and has a wet dream about her, then gets woken up by a waiter with a food cart who's called Guido, and he's like...
Why wouldn't she close the blinds? Like, I get his point, but like, honestly, no, just like privacy. Like, what? Like, she was undressing, looking outside, like, and she saw that. Like, did she like the guy? Nah. I mean, she could have liked the guy that was, taking pictures of her. But I'm just saying, I Italian people, when Americans use miles per hour. Like,
sleep and has a wet dream about her, then gets woken up by a waiter with a food cart who's called Guido, and he's like pizza up, then finds out that Elise has left an order of food, so he goes to check out her room while Guido leaves and sees 2 unknown men, which are the Russian retards, approach his room and makes zero effort to stop them or even question what they're doing. What top-notch security this hotel has. They walk in, Al Frank inspecting her room, and they're like, "Suke, bliet, come with us to see an old friend," showing him their guns, so he panics and locks himself in the bathroom, calls the room service for help, telling them that there are men with guns shooting at him, trying to break in and kill him, but the front desk dipshit dismisses him for being a crazy American, simply top-notch security, I tell you. So with them shooting the lock off and trying to break their way in, he jumps out of the bathroom window onto a nearby rooftop trying to get away, while the comrades finally break in and follow him. Elise and the agents following her outside see Jack Sparrow running across a bunch of roofs. The agents want to intervene and save him, but they're ordered not to by Jarvis because he thinks Frank is a distraction from Elise. So after some more pajama parkour, he gets to a balcony above a fruit market, jumps down and lands in one of the stands and fumbles into a policeman, knocking him into the water, which I don't think should have happened because not only did this dude land with zero forward momentum, but he also was not facing the water when he jumped off. Also, what the fuck is this cut, bro? Talk about not saved in the edit. Another also, I'm just gonna ruin this right now. Frank is actually Pierce. He just...
Wait. Hold on. When I used to watch him more frequently, right when we were on here, years ago. That's been years. That was crazy. Yeah, I'm trying to get back on the grind though. I really am. But back then when we first started watching High Boy, his picture in the background, it didn't change. Like it was the same one the whole video. That's new. I just noticed it. Like the picture changed 3 minutes later. Like hey, good for him. I'm just look. I saw it. I wanted to. The Italian Navy. It's I mean.
Convince the cops that he isn't, and he's gonna do a big reveal to Elise at the end that he is. I say that now because how the fuck is any of this part of his plan? There's no way he knew this chase would happen. There's no way he knew she would choose him on the train. There's no way any of the upcoming shit we're gonna see is part of his plan. There's simply no way. Whatever. Though, he gets arrested and tries to explain his predicament to the chief of Venice police.
Alex,
he takes one puff of his cigarette, then lets it burn out completely, then flushes it down the cigarette toilet. What a waste of a perfectly good fag, you stupid Italian fag. Whatever. He locks him up while he checks out the factuality of the story he just told. How these Russians that want money from this woman's husband mistook him for her husband and so on, blah blah blah. Eventually, police bitch comes back at night telling him that his story checks out and that they have to move him out of here right now really fast. He cuffs him, telling him that this has to look right. Takes him out to the canals of Venice. There are canals, right? I'm not wrong in saying whatever. Takes him out to the water on a boat, cuffed to the railing on it, telling him that Shaw is this big bad evil guy and Pierce stole from him and he thinks he's Pierce, so he's in trouble. Parks the boat and tells him to wait for a second. Goes to meet Shaw's Russian goons. It turns out he made a deal with them to give them Frank in exchange for some money. And while he counts that cash, Elise rocks up behind Frank in her own boat, throws him a rope. He ties it to his boat and she starts dragging it along, ripping it from the pier it is parked at. The Russians notice that and start shooting at her, chasing her, jump on both boats and have a few scuffles with her and Frank, but eventually they both get away and the Russians go back to Shaw as total failures, so he kills one of them for that. Then we jump back to Elise and Frank. She picks her box of his cuffs while explaining the lore between Shaw and Pierce, then tricks him and drops him off at the airport next morning with everything he needs to fly back to America.
I can't wait.
I wish she met in another life. Be safe. Then sails off over to Italian Interpol headquarters, where she meets Jarvis, telling him she's ready to give him Pierce so Frank doesn't get hurt, saying that she's going to meet him at this ball tonight. Then we cut to this ball, and as soon as she arrives, this dude starts hitting on her, and she thinks it's Pierce, but it just turns out to be a horny millionaire. And as soon as she finds that out, she's like, peace. Walks away from him. Then this other dude walks past and leaves a letter for her. She tries to follow him, thinking that he is Pierce, but loses him in the crowd of people. Then Frank shows up, like, you owe me a dance. So they do the waltz while they talk, like, I'm not leaving without you. Fuck this Pierce guy. Come with me. Dude, you were just part of the plan, okay? Piss off. I used you. Get the fucking message. So she leaves him to go find Pierce, and he gets taken away by Jarvis's people. She can't find a dude, so she opens the letter and reads it. It's Pierce telling her to go to this new location. Jarvis asks her what it says through her apparently invisible earpiece, but she doesn't tell him, which gets him kind of angry. She has no reason to do that, by the way, because she literally says the address 10 seconds later to her boat driver so he can take her there. Maybe she thinks she's giving Pierce more time to get there if that really was him over there, or maybe she just likes busting Jarvis's balls. I don't know. Whatever. She starts making her way over there. Jarvis follows her in the Interpol boat, and they see that Shaw is also following her. Somehow, Shaw and his people do not notice that there is a fucking Interpol boat behind them, although they are the only 3 boats in the water at the time. Anyway, she gets to that location and goes up to the apartment. Shaw follows her up there. Does an evil monologue like Alexander was like a son to me.
Wait, what happened?
Location and being Interpol boat behind them, although they are the only 3 boats.
Technical difficulties, but
she gets to that
we're
location,
okay.
Goes up to the apartment.
We're all right.
Follows her up there. Does an evil
Wait, what?
With water. Shaw and his people
My bad. Last time.
A fucking Interpol boat behind them, although they are the only 3 boats in the water at the time. Anywho, she gets to that location and goes up to the apartment. Shaw follows her up there. Does an evil monologue like Alexander was like a son to me, but he stole stuff from me that I paid for with my soul, which is not a funny line at all, but the script says that his goons should laugh, so they do, so he can continue monologuing a bit more. And while he does that, Jarvis has snipers set up on the roofs nearby, watching this and listening through the wire she has planted between her tits, waiting for Pierce to show up. They also have Frank on the boat, so he doesn't
What is
ruin
that?
his operation again, like he almost did a few times. Now back to Shaw, who is super duper sure that his money is here in a safe hidden somewhere in this apartment, so he starts trashing the place and beating her up for info about the location of that safe. Frank begs Jarvis and his people to save her, but Jarvis won't give any orders until Pierce shows up. Tells Frank to shut the fuck up. This keeps going on for a bit. Shaw threatens to kill her, then she notices the two-faced Greek god on the wall and guesses that the safe is behind that, so she tells him that, and turns out she guesses correctly because he opens a secret door that reveals a safe, but bitch can't catch a break because he's like, alright, cool, now open it. Then the snipers notice movement in the courtyard. It's Frank. He's running up trying to sneak in and save her because he was able to pick the locks to his cuffs and get out of there. I do not know how they didn't notice him. It's not exactly
Yo. Now, like, think about that. Like, you're like, like he this guy's about to just like, it's over. It's wraps. So then you're like, check there. Just a guess. Turns out to be a lucky guess. You're like, oh my gosh, thank you. He's like, not mad at me. Maybe this buys me some time. Maybe he's cool now, right? Then he goes, alright, open it.
And Jarvis was arguing with the snipers themselves.
Like what?
Fire and shit. So, yeah, it could totally happen. Whatever. She tries to open the safe with a bunch of guns pointed at her, but fails. Then Frank walks in like, let her go and open the safe. Who the fuck are you? I'm Alexander Pierce. No, he's not. Yes, I am. You look nothing like him. I had a bunch of surgeries done. Pierce was British. You're American. I swear on the soul of the fucking queen herself, I'm Alexander, mate.
Okay.
It's quite easy to fake an accent, love. Even for years, for an audience of over 2 million people, possibly. What? Shut up. There's an easy way to prove this. Go open the safe, or I kill her. So he starts walking over to do that in super slow motion. Everyone wants to shoot Shaw and his men, but Jarvis keeps denying permission to do that, believing that Pierce will show up eventually. Elise mouths I love you to him while he walks over, which is crazy because it's been 2 fucking days. An eventful 2 fucking days, but still, whatever. Jarvis's boss, who found out that he continued the operation without his permission, comes to Venice and comes into the boat to take control and gives orders to fire. They shoot Shaw and his men, and they go in to see the dead bodies lying in completely different...
Hey, there's a lot of words. Sorry, I need to read it. There are supposed to be 2 dudes on the sofas. They could have moved a bit then died though. There are supposed to be 2 dudes on the sofa.
How they originally fell, but who cares? Fuck continuity, right? Boss guy lifts Elise's suspension and fires her on the spot, while Jarvis gets news from his men that they caught Pierce somewhere nearby, so they go to get him, leaving Elise and Frank alone. He's like, so you love me but you still love Pierce, correct? Yep, don't worry sugar tits, easy fix. Big reveal, he punches a bunch of digits into the safe and opens it, confirming that he's him, he's that guy. And they do space sex while Interpol arrests who they think is Pierce, but turns out to just be a Roblox headed tourist that keeps receiving texts to do shit from the real Alexander in exchange for money. So they go back to the safe, blow it up, and find a check from Pierce for all his unpaid taxes. Chief Nigel guy's like, well, we have our taxes, and what did this guy do but steal money from a gangster? I say we let this one go, bro. Jarvis has no real say in this, so he has to let it go, but he's still kind of salty about it because Pierce is still out there. Then we get an ending shot of Elise and Frank / Alexander Pierce sailing away. This movie gets 7 rhinoplasties out of 8 people.
And see, what... Because remember when I said I feel bad for this guy? Because I was like, if it really is just some random dude getting caught up in that, and his only reason for that should not be there. Wait, so was it a good review or I don't... Alright. I'm sure it's a good movie. I'm sure it's like a really good movie. Alright, right? Is it? Y'all see... I never seen it. I'm never gonna watch it now. Because, I mean... Angelina Jolie, though, Johnny Depp, I mean, hey man, that's a Jarvis. Hey man, that's a roster, low key. Y'all let me know if y'all seen it before. If y'all haven't, well then, well now we have.